issue with men and mental health is we don't get to express and voice our downfall. Taking on huge challenges and getting over alcohol and cocaine. 2018, I lost everything. So I lost my 10-year girlfriend, my house, my mortgage. I would do long walks in Wales and Scotland for like 3 or 4 days. A lot of healing in yourself and to other individuals by just saying sorry. Being alone is good, but you need to be really, really strong to do it. You've got to do an Ironman. And I was like, what's an Ironman? And he explained it to me. And there and then I booked it. You're alone when doing this. It's just transformational. That's when you get all the demons out. Everyone should truly do a marathon or do some kind of really challenging endurance at least once in their life. I don't think I would have been able to do all of this without my past. So now I look at my past as a gift.
Today's guest is the founder of the multi-award-winning family-run J&J Building Services. Since 2020, he's been a force in charity work with Surplus to Supper and raised £3,000 for multiple sclerosis. A true endurance athlete, Jamie completed over 100 events including 4 marathons, 1 trail marathon, 7 triathlons, 2 Ironmans and 10 half marathons. His Road to 100 challenge was to complete a further 50 medals in 1 year for a total of 100, which he completed in just 9 months. So I would like to welcome to the podcast, Jamie Jenkins. Are you struggling at the moment with your health, fitness and wellness? Are you feeling under immense pressure, stress, anxiety? Are you waking up with that dread? You've got lots of tasks, lots of projects you want to do, and on the surface you're feeling very excited about it, but for some reason there is still this dread and this anxiety. Or perhaps with your health and wellness, you've got chronic pain and it's not just been there for a few days or weeks, it's been there for months, perhaps it's been there for years, but now it's inflamed, it's getting worse, and it's now affecting things like your sleep, your work, your performance, perhaps even your relationships, and you don't know what to do about it. Because even though on the surface you're taking all the practical steps, you're going to see the doctor, the physio, the trainer, the massage therapist, maybe you're having MRIs, maybe you're doing the breath work, the meditation, but for some reason there isn't a shift and you're not able to get past this huge block or barrier that you can't seem to understand why it's there because it's completely out of character. After all, you're normally a proactive, positive, high-performing person, but for now you are really struggling to get that motivation and that drive that you normally have, and you want to get that back, especially when it comes to your health and fitness, because being in a state of chronic pain is no fun. Well, this is why I developed Mind Drive. Mind Drive is your solution to overcoming chronic pain, getting rid of those mental blocks, those mental barriers that are holding you back, and being able to take that step forward into a better quality of life and get back to the life that you desire, that performance, that proactivity, that productivity, enjoying every aspect of your life in work, relationships, health and fitness, and feel really at your peak, really energized. Well, I have developed a free guide for you to get you started on this journey to better health, better fitness, so you can actually elevate your mind, heal your body, and reclaim your life. Now, in this guide, it's going to show you what the reasons are, the causes perhaps that you're feeling very stuck and you're not able to move forward. It's going to show you how perhaps on this occasion the reasons those traditional methods are not working. And we're also going to give you some inspiring stories and some practical steps that you can follow to help get you started on this journey to better health and a better life, the life that you desire. So all you have to do is completely free guide. All you have to do is click the link in the description, or you can head over to the website at teamclinicservices.com and you can download it for there. But for now, I want to thank you and I look forward to hearing your comments, your thoughts. But for now, back to this episode in our Unleash Your Inner Athlete series. Have a great day. Hello and welcome back to the show with me, your host, Julia Pitsy-Kamey. And thank you, Jamie, for joining me today. I know you're going to tell us all about your story, your journey, that difficult sort of stage in your life going through addiction, but coming out the other side and creating such great success for yourself and obviously helping others along the way through your charities. And maybe towards the end, we can talk a little bit about, how if someone was thinking along these lines, thinking this is something I need to do or I want to explore doing, how they can then make it happen for themselves, schedule in the time, stay committed, which is really important, sticking with it. But before we get into that, let everybody know a little bit about yourself. So what life was like before you had the addiction, and then how you went through that, how you sort of got yourself past that, and where you are now.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Julia, for this opportunity to speak on your wonderful podcast. I'm Jamie Jenkins. I'm the founder of J&J Building Services Limited. I've been in construction my whole life. It's a family-run construction company. There's 5 family members. There's me, my brother, my father, and my 2 uncles. I'm a site carpenter originally. I've also got my plumbing and gas qualification, and I've always been into sport for my life, starting and stopping, and it's been a great journey in the last sort of 5 years, where I've really taken on huge challenges and getting over alcohol and cocaine, and it's been a great journey ever since making that decision to go teetotal.
So, I mean, what happened in between those? If you don't mind me asking, obviously you're free to answer or not, but what happened to sort of take you from being in that successful business and then go down the route of addiction? Because obviously this can happen. I mean, looking at the stats as well, the amount of people suffering with addiction, what runs alongside that is mental health issues, particularly amongst men. Actually, about 2/3 of men struggling with addiction have mental health, and about 1/3 of women have that problem. So it's predominantly men who seem to suffer the most. So what was your experience in terms of that? What would you say led you down that road?
I think the main issue with men and mental health is we don't get to express and voice our downfall, let's say. We've always got to be tough, strong, no emotion. We have to bottle everything up. We have to be the provider. You have to care for your family, your mum, your friends, and it just bottles up over many, many years. And then you get into a really, really bad place where you might be hanging around with the wrong individuals. And like for myself, alcohol has always been a big part of my life from about 16 onwards. It always starts off as a social gatherings, and it's just a bit of fun. And then it gets a little bit out of hand because you're not actually dealing with your own situations. There's no express for men. So I do tell a lot of people now to sort of don't be afraid to express yourself, because you're going to go down this spiral. And then, unfortunately for me, cocaine came into my life. And again, starts off as a social thing, and then you start doing it yourself. Then you're doing it midweek, and then before you know it, a year's gone by, and your business is failing. You're failing as an individual. Your relationships, your partners. I had a girlfriend for 10 years, and it just, you're not there for them. And although they might want to try and care for you, it's not their responsibility to care for you. And that's why in sort of 2018, I lost everything. So I lost my 10-year girlfriend, my house, my mortgage, everything. And it was just like, hey, Mum, I'm back. And then that's where it really began for me. So you've just got to be very, very, very careful to try and not be around the bad groups. I had a lot of bad friends, and it spirals out of control without you knowing it.
Yeah, because it's sort of, it's like you say. My next question was kind of, is this something that suddenly comes upon you, suddenly realize it, or is it you're not even aware of it until you're really deep down that rabbit hole?
For me, the only way that I could realize, and I think this is the same for a lot of people I talk to, you have to hit rock bottom. You have to lose everything, for then you realize, holy shit, this is really, really bad. I've got to do something about this. Where a lot of people lie is it's not bad enough for them to make the change. It's nice, comfortable, up and down until you really hit rock bottom. That's when you've got nowhere else to go, and that's when you can make a decision. Right, I've got to change, and that's where you go on this incredible journey. And a lot of people don't realize that hitting rock bottom is the best thing that can happen to you if you're in that situation.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because normally when you think about hitting rock bottom rather, before you yeah, before you've hit there, you're sort of thinking, oh no, I don't want to go there. I don't want that to happen to me. And you have all these, whatever challenges you're facing, but especially I would think with addiction is you're having all these little signposts that are giving you little nudges, but you're just not paying. Are you not paying attention, or is it just that you're just not aware until you get to that really, like you say, rock bottom?
Yeah. So what it is when you don't particularly have a very good life. Mine was very challenging. From a young age, I had dyslexia, so I never really had a very good childhood and teenage years because I wasn't able to learn like the science, maths, and English, right? The academic side of life. But also I wasn't able to learn social interaction and emotional intelligence. And this is a big thing that I've researched in the last 5 years since going from rock bottom and coming up. You've got to go back into your past life and analyze everything, which for men, a lot of men don't want to do, and find out what was the trigger point to why I was doing all this. And also, when you take cocaine, you get a level of dopamine that you don't get, that you're not receiving in your normal life. So once you get that hit of dopamine, it's very hard now to go back to normal reality where life's just very mundane or hard or whatever issues you've got in your life. You just want that next hit because that's your high in life now. So it's very hard to understand that you're getting all these highs from the drug, but you're actually making normal life very, very boring. So you're just constantly wanting that high now, and you're chasing it. You're paying for it. You're losing money, and on the sidelines, everything is crumbling, but you just don't realize because you're so selfish. It's not about anyone else. It's just about you.
So the past life, coming back to that, because this seems to be a theme I'm discovering with many of the people I talk to, especially when it comes to anything relating to mental health or addiction, is this past life and how important that is. And then also, obviously, for you were bringing in the dyslexia as well. Were you aware, was the dyslexia something you discovered later in life that you realized was affecting your behaviors, or something you knew you had from that first early stage?
So dyslexia has now in schools, dyslexia is diagnosed really early, and it's part of the school fabric now, and it's been like that for like 15, 20 years. But when I was around in primary school in the sort of 90s, it was a new thing. None of the educational schools and systems really knew about dyslexia. So I wasn't diagnosed with dyslexia till I was about 14. So there was a really long period when, me and my mum always knew there was something wrong with me, and she would always tell the schools he needs to be diagnosed or tested for ADHD or dyslexia or there's something not right, because my reading levels and my spelling and everything else was atrocious. I literally could not learn. It was so frustrating. And me and my mum would always have massive arguments every single day after school. School for me was horrible. I couldn't learn anything. It was embarrassing. And as you might know, kids are mean. So I was like that sort of dunce in schools. This has a big dramatic effect on your whole life growing up. So I was never cool. I was never one with the ladies, and this was very hard when you grow up as a teenager, sort of getting rejected quite a lot. I never really had an opinion about anything because I couldn't learn anything. So I was just bumbling around life trying to fit in, and you kind of lie yourself to get into different friendship groups. But when you get sort of caught out by your friends and like you're talking about topics and I don't really have an opinion, but I'm trying to fit in, and then everyone's laughing at you because your opinions are awful. It's just loads and loads of little things like that, little jabs and kids being mean, teenage years, your friends, all your groups. So I grew up very lonely. I wouldn't say I was bullied physically, but I was bullied verbally. Which I think is worse. And then, in your sort of 20s, I started opening up companies and construction. And then I went into the world and I was just lost as an individual. I didn't have any foundations. And working in construction, I went and met more evil people because it's sort of where I believe that most men sort of give up on everything in life and then they become a laborer. And there's a lot of bullying within construction. So all of that, the teenage years, the growing up, then the sort of, 20 to 25 years trying to grow a business. It's been very dramatic. So when cocaine came in, it was like, right, not only can I get this fake dopamine, I can also pretend to be whoever I want now, because that's what cocaine does to you. So I can be the sole fun guy in the party because I've got all this fake confidence. But ultimately, you know, when the cocaine runs out, you're just left even worse than the person that you're trying to become. So very dramatic. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of blurring all that trauma from those early stages, and you've never had a chance to deal with that and learn how to cope or manage, you know, that feeling of being teased. And then, like you say, you go into the construction industry, which is a very tough industry, very masculine industry, I guess, majority.
Very, very masculine.
So that, you know, competitive, winning, you know, you've got to beat the the following person to survive, that survival instinct as well. But you've not had that sort of foundation of how to become a stronger, more resilient person all this time. So then I guess then it's kind of inevitable for some people who have been struggling but not really fully aware of how that's happened or why that's happened, to then go down that route of alcohol or drugs and some form of addiction, because it's blurring all that nastiness and you feel good in the moment, like you say.
Exactly that. You feel good, and it's just all this. It's all fake. It's fake confidence. You start talking to everyone because you're crippled on alcohol. You're crippled on drugs. You're in these groups where other people are taking drugs as well. Everything you're talking about doesn't mean anything. You know, you wake up the next day, you was promising someone who's going to meet them, you was going to take them on a trip, and you wake up, you're going, what the hell am I talking about? I don't even know this individual. And you're just left in a lost space. So when you come out of all of this and you hit rock bottom and you start to build yourself up again, like what I would do long walks in Wales and Scotland for like 3 or 4 days, but on my own. Right. And when you're sort of like, I would have like probably 40 kg on my back, like all of my food, camping equipment, tent. Yes, it's quite a lot. But as you're, let's say, let's use an example. So I would go to Scaffold Pike, which is the highest peak in England, with Ben Nevis being the highest in the UK, and that's a 9-hour trek all the way to the top of the peak, and then I would camp at the top. But during that 9 hours, those were the healing hours where I can think about what happened in our relationship with my ex-partner, what happened in my early years, what happened between my family, what happened within the construction. And this is where I really started to change things up. Not only did I forgive her, I also forgave myself for the things that I've done. And then I would come back from these trips and I'd also ring friends and say, apologize to them. And that's all really people want, is an apology.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of healing in yourself and to other individuals by just saying sorry. And I think a lot of men lock that up. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm apologizing. And you can really move forwards by just simply apologizing and forgiving yourself as well.
Well, I think that's really important what you're saying about, because all people do this at times. I've certainly done it, is you hold this guilt and as if everything is your fault. And much of the time, it's not always your fault. You're not always in control of situations outside of yourself. But it's that ability to forgive yourself and realize, yes, I may have made mistakes and done bad things, but it happens to everyone and I can forgive myself and move forward. And I think you're being able to spend that time, because a lot of people, I wonder if you think the same. Certainly something I've thought about is spending that time on your own can be quite scary for some people, because all those thoughts, all those memories come back. But sometimes coming out of a situation like you did, I would think, and having that time, as you said, to be on your own and not be fearful of the thoughts, and gives you great ideas of coming up with solutions and introspection of how you can move forward, which I think if you're all this noise and you're surrounded by all these other people, and if those people are very negative, because we tend to flock to people who are very much like ourselves, and it's a very secure place at the time, but taking yourself out of that and going by yourself, which is kind of in some ways a little bit scary, can actually be that facing that fear and moving forward can actually be the thing that starts that your ability to move out of a negative situation, if I'm making any sense at all.
No, you're making perfect sense. So the biggest thing that I've learned transitioning out of alcohol and drugs The number one thing that I would say to anyone is learn how to be on your own. It's the only way you're going to heal. You have to get away from all the noise. You know, everyone that's talking to you has no advice for you. You just have to go out on your own. That's why, you know, the hiking in the mountains, you're away from everything, but also you're back with nature, where you just go back to where everything was created. The simple things. All you need is a tent, warmth, a fire, and some food. And you realize life is actually very basic. We don't need all these materialistic things. We don't need all these opinions. Stop trying to impress people and impress yourself. You know, get up every day and think, right, I am actually a really good guy. Let's sort this out. And your opinion of yourself is the only one that really matters. It's not about what everyone else. Stop trying to please everyone else, because you're never going to please everyone else.
No,
Everyone's always going to have an opinion. There's loads of jealousy. You know, no one really. I've got a lot of good friends now, but in the past, you know, a lot of people lied to me. They weren't really my friends. You know, and once you get away from that circle of poison and really focus on your own, not just the hiking, but that's when you're doing a run. When I was doing these Ironmans, and you know, I couldn't swim. I have to learn how to swim. It's all on your own. There's no one. You can really get a bit of guidance from someone here and there, or a teacher or a coach. But really and truly, you just want to be on your own. Long cycles. This is where you're thinking about everything that happened, and you're healing yourself, and then you're learning how to cope on your own, which I think a lot of people is where the struggle is.
Yeah, like other people tend to be a crutch, I think, and it's a false sense of security. And actually, once you get rid of those people, new people come into your life who are much better and on the same path as you, and are going to be more supportive of you. And I think that's something to give someone hope that, you know, if you're feeling alone at the moment, you know, if you need professional help, go and seek that. But otherwise, you know, this is a good thing. It's not an end. It's actually the start of this fantastic transformation, which you've been through.
It's that beginning again, because if you're going to go and hang around with the old people, they know everything about you. So they've always got ammo on you. They're always going to bring things up. When you hang around with, when you start your life again and you start hanging around with new people, they don't know the past. So you can be the new individual you are. And, you know, a big part of my life was starting to tell the truth, which was very, very hard for me to do, but literally never, ever lie, just continuously tell the truth. And, you know, over a period of a long time, your life will dramatically change. And that's when you start to realize who you're starting to create, because you can't lie. So you have an informed opinion. You know, if someone's doing something wrong, you tell them they're doing something wrong. I don't want to be in that path, mate. I'm going this way. You can either come with me or you can go down that route, you know, and that's when you start to create the solid foundations. So being alone is good, but you need to be really, really strong to do it. But you need to get away from all the noise.
So in doing that, I mean, you've gone down this path a lot of people possibly would be a little bit nervous of doing, if think, oh God, I won't want to do that, is getting into your CV of sport is incredible. So what was the turning point when you decided, right, I'm going to go and do all this endurance sport? Because what you're doing is not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes, you know, I've worked in sport a long time, and professional athletes, they train hard. And, you know, obviously you are in the construction industry, so it's not something you do necessarily as an earning a living. But what actually was the turning point to think, right, this is the route I need to go down?
Well, there was not just the drugs and drink, but there's just so much failure in my life. I was just like, I have to prove to myself and my family and my friend and everyone who's laughing at me. It just gives you that fuel to be like, right, watch this. And I just went on an absolute rampage. So I just quit drink, quit drugs. That was it. Teetotal for everything. I was sitting in the pub one day with my friend. I wasn't drinking. And I was talking to him about, I'm going to do a triathlon. There's different levels of triathlon, but one of the easiest ones. And then he said to me, mate, come on, you've got to do an Ironman. And I was like, what's an Ironman? And he explained it to me. And there and then I booked it. 9 months time. I'm now on what you call an Ironman 70.3. It wasn't Nice. It was Weymouth in the UK. And then when you book it, no sunshine there. But when I tell people, when you book, you have to book the event, because then you have to do it. And it's not just the event. Now you've got to do all this training. So when I booked an Ironman, it's like, right, I've now got to learn how to swim. And now you don't even have time to do the drink or drugs, because you've got to train for an Ironman. And then you start off swimming, you have no idea how to do that. And then you're really bad, and it's really painful, and you're really scared. Then you've got to learn how to cycle long distance. Then you've got to learn how to run. Then you've got to combine all of the three together. So doing that transitional period, starting out on the hardest thing, and then again, you're alone when doing this. It's just transformational. That's when you get all the demons out and you use the demons to fight forward. So I look at my life now, and I don't think I would have been able to do all of this without my past. So now I look at my past as a gift.
So yeah,
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, so it was the driving force. But I wonder, is that, I mean, you were able to really take hold of it and run with it. Have you always kind of been like that, even in business? Have you always been someone, right, once you've got an idea, this is the way forward, and you can move through it fairly quickly because you just grab it with both hands and just go? Or is it like, are you a kind of a thinker? You work things out, you plan everything, because we know in sport, you have to progress to get where to win. You've got to progress through your training and gradually build up to where you need to be from starting point, which is not easy.
So when you start, you're new at something, so you have just got to throw yourself into it. You've got to take on any single event, training, whatever you can do. You've just got to start. That's people's biggest problem. They can't start. They might do one session, but they don't have the consistency. Same with my construction company. So at the beginning, you've just got to take on these jobs. You've got to meet new clients. You've got to get the brand out there. You don't know how to do accounting. You don't know how to do marketing. You just got to get out into the market. Then after a couple of years, then you will start to strategize, plan, learn from your errors, make the business better, learn accounting, and then also build your team around you as well. But what I found out within construction is I thrive in pressure. When there's high pressure days, when it's all falling apart, materials don't turn up, stills are going in. You've got a crew that's not particularly well known. You've got to mentor them into getting all this stuff right. The health and safety element of construction as well. That was a big one to learn as well, because that's the law. So there's implications if anything happens on site. So I had to learn all that as well, keep people safe, as well as all these big stills going in, building big walls, foundations. So high pressure moments is where I thrive. And the same thing happens in sport when you take on a big event. You have no idea what you're doing, and you just stay calm and you learn through pain. The training was actually harder than the event. So.
Yeah, because you think, well, all the pressure of the event, but then I guess, you've got to build up, because you have, like, in training for any sport, you have your different seasons of training, your off season, your on season, your pre-season, all this sort of stuff, and you do different types of training in each of those seasons. Whereas the actual event itself is just focused on just getting from the start to the end in the best possible time and in the best possible way you can. So I can kind of understand how, the training can be very, very difficult. But again, if you schedule your timing and you progress it effectively, I mean, did you have anyone who was kind of helping you in terms of your training and giving you support in that way, or did you just do it yourself?
Right. So I'll tell you a fun story. So I had no help whatsoever. I was just booking events. So there was literally an event every week, and then some midweek, and sometimes I was doing 3 in a week. And I was just loving it, because it was just, I was away from all this pain and misery and suffering. I was just like, this is feeling great. No drinking me, no drugs. I feel fantastic. And, everyone's like, wow, look at this guy. So they all laugh at the beginning, oh, he's starting an Ironman. And then I do it, I train for it. And then they're like, wow, that was incredible. So I started getting all this respect from everyone, which is what I was craving. But I was getting respect the good way. So yeah, back to your question. So I just went out on my own and just did the work. And that was my, I don't know what you want to call it, tranquility. That was my relax. I just loved it, because I was every single race, or not race, but every single training, the runs, I was healing myself. I was answering all the questions. All this stuff was coming out. It was fantastic. But in terms of trainers, no, I probably should have found someone for swimming, because my first Ironman, my head was out of the water, and I was swimming like this for 1.2 miles, and that probably would have benefited me to have someone training. But because I was so in this crazy zone, I didn't want anyone to get involved. I was just so happy with myself and answering all the questions as I was doing all this training.
Well, I guess, and you were able to stay in control of that as well, which is really, really key. So you knew when you had to put the brakes on or whether you could push forward. You know your body so well because you've spent so much time with yourself.
Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. Let me mention that funny story. So
okay.
this is how I was working, right? I was just doing things, booking them, and turning up. So, for example, 2020 was during COVID, right? So all the races had stopped, but they were doing virtual events. So you could book a half marathon, a marathon, and then you just do it virtually on your own, and then they send you a medal in the post. So I booked to do a marathon, right? And I'd only ever ran half marathon distance, so 13.1 miles. A marathon's 26.2. I decided to do this in I think it was 34-degree heat in England. Do the route that I've never done before, and then it goes through Richmond Park. I've never ran anything further than 13.1 miles, and I decided to do a marathon. So at mile 20, when people were telling me you hit this thing called the wall,
yeah.
And at mile 20, I was feeling good, so I was on social media. Oh, I'm at mile 20. What's this wall about? And then bang. Literally hit the wall, which means like you have the body has no more glucose to give you energy to run whenever you're doing walking, and your body completely shuts down. So a lot of marathon runners experience this around mile 19 to sort of 21, and you have nothing left. So this is what was so great about that. I would do these things where I've never actually really properly trained for them. I'll just say one day I'll go for a marathon, one day I'll do a 100-mile cycle, and there was no real training for them. And when you hit that wall, so I was at mile 20, there's 6 miles left to go. It took me an hour to do those 6 miles because I had nothing left. Sweating, it was hot, I was dead. But that little 6 miles there is what really changed my life, because to know that the mind, when your mind gets into gear, your body will adapt. And learning that is why I believe everyone should truly do a marathon or do some kind of really challenging endurance at least once in their life.
Well, I do wonder, it's like you're pushing through that pain threshold. It's like you're training your body to withstand more and more stress. And that is not just physically, it's mentally and emotionally as well, because an endurance sport takes it out of you in all ways. So that has to have a really positive impact on how you cope with the stresses in everyday life and with business as well, and the people around you. So you're going to become, I would think, more resilient to all of that as well.
You become a superhuman. Once you know that you can get through a marathon, going to work or running your business, it really does become easy. All of the hard challenges are not really hard anymore. So you got through that marathon, then you look at your business, and a brown envelope might come in from HMRC, which I've got many of, and then I'll just let's digest this. So instead of putting my head in the sand, let's look at this. What do they want? Right, I didn't pay my VAT bill once, right? And I think it was about 24 grand, and there was about 10 grand in my business account. So normally I bury my head in the sand, and another brown envelope come, another brown envelope come, then you get summoned to court, and then you react. Well, it's like, why don't I react now when I get the first letter and start becoming an adult? And then you just simply ring up HMRC and you just do a deal with them. And I didn't know that, So stop running away from things, and cut it at the neck straight away and get it dealt with. And I learned that through the marathons. What you're struggling in that last six miles, and you've got absolutely nothing left. And then you start to look at your business and you go, right, let's work out the business the same as a marathon. It's, if you don't hit this problem now, there's going to be major problems in the future. So let's sort this out now. And that's what I started doing with everything. It was brilliant.
Yeah, because I guess going back to sort of men in particular, or anyone who actually is kind of running a business, and sort of looking at they're not dealing with the mental stuff. They're pushing through the pain. They've got high pain thresholds. They're pushing through, and they're dealing with multiple things. Really, what they need to do is just stop, take a step back, and take preemptive measures or preventative measures, and then say, right, I'm not feeling good. Who can I talk to? Who can I call? Who can I ring up? What can I do to step away from this and come with a great solution to then move forward, whether it's a business problem, a personal problem, a health problem, whatever it may be.
So I've in the past 5 years, I've got a lot of mentors. I went down the mentor route. So I started doing a lot of networking in property events. You can start a business, and it's good to start a business. But within about 3 years of that business, if you're not progressing, as in having profit coming in, because the only way a business survives is having profit, you need to look at how you're going to elevate this business. And most people start a business not knowing what the hell to do. So I transitioned from carpentry, site carpenter. So I have my tools, I go to work, I earn my £1,000 a week or whatever it was. I go home and that's it. When you become a business owner, you're now in charge of, your staff. You've got to make sure that the clients are happy. They're moaning about everything. They're paying large sums of money. It's their house that I'm trying to renovate, so it's their largest asset. It's where they bring up their family. There's this massive importance to make sure that everything goes well. You've then, the back end of the stuff, you've got to work out all your accounts. You've got to be an accountant. You've got to be sales. You've got to be HR. You've got to be a CEO, a director. You've got to be a cleaner. You've got to be a problem solver. And this happens day in, day out, non-stop. So it's very hard to have a rest period where you can reflect, which is the most important thing in business, is reflecting on what has happened in the last month, 2 months. So I found the best thing to do is go and get a mentor, which is within your industry. And I found doing that through networking first in sort of property events and construction events. And then I would sort of pick and choose sort of after sort of 3 or 4 months the sort of people that I've met. And then I would choose a mentor within construction that has, a successful story within that industry. And then they'll mentor you through the sort of pitfalls that that you need help on. And that has been transformational for me, and especially in the last sort of 5 years.
Yeah, well, it comes down to that surrounding yourself with the right people and seeking out those right people. Because, I've been in business for a long time myself, and it can feel very isolated, which isn't always good when things get challenging. So I think that's really great advice, sort of having someone there, or doesn't have to just be one person, be several people, like you say, who are on that same journey or have been, or they're people who have done things that maybe you haven't achieved. And it's that sort of person you can just call and say, look, I'm going through this problem, or I need help figuring out solution to this challenge I'm facing at the moment. And it's having that someone you can just speak to and open up to and be honest with and open with, I think has been really, really, it's life-changing, I think, to have that. Because you very often, if you're on your own in business, it's very, very tough not having that.
It's very lonely. I think this is why a lot of businesses fail in the first 3 years. Because firstly, when you come out of school, there is no education in how to run a business.
No.
I think the primary school and the high school education is very one-sided. It's academic. It's not about teamwork. It's about individual. It's about results driven. And there's no training on how to run a business, emotional intelligence, how to pay your bills, how to pay taxes. So when I was 16, 17, you come out of school, you have no idea what you're doing. So you go out and you be a site carpenter for a bit. You still don't know how to pay taxes and how to run a business because you're self-employed. So you're lost. And then HMRC come crawling. You have no idea how to deal with that because they're crazy. They just want your money, and if you don't pay, you'll go in jail. It's a very scary world, And then you open up a business, and that's like 15 times harder than when you're a site carpenter, and there's zero help. There's no help. How do you do this? So when I found a mentor, what you're doing with a mentor is they've been there and they've done it, and they've got the systems and the experience, and they've also got the pitfalls themselves. So they educate you. And because, let's say, you've been running a business for 5 years, you've got all the bits that you need help on, and you know what you need help on. So you just ask your mentor, what happens when this happens? And when I did this, and when I've done that, and then they go, right, well, this is how you resolve it. And then you go, that's simple. And then you get excited and you implement it. And then sort of 1 year goes by and you realize, bloody hell, it's a phenomenal transformation. You just need that little bit of help, but there is no help within business.
It's important to just be able to step out because you're too in it to see maybe the solution or the problem. So being able to step away from it, and someone else can actually look at it from a different perspective. I think that's massively helpful.
Yeah. So anyone that I talk to now, a lot of people come to me about business, and I always say to them, your main goal with running a business is just literally what you've just said. Is you don't want to be in it, you want to be working on it. So if you're coming from a construction background, lots of people decide that they want to do the work. Now I say to you, well, if you're doing the work, who's doing the sales? Who's getting more revenue in? Who's getting more jobs in? Oh, but I'll hire someone. I said, well, where's the money coming from for that? And then you go through their accounts and you're like, well, you've got no money. So although you think you're saving, let's use a kitchen installation, for example, you're saving £3,000 by you installing the kitchen, but you're there for 2 weeks. Now that's 2 weeks of marketing, 2 weeks of getting the next job in, 2 weeks of tendering, 2 weeks of going to meet clients. And you could win a job in that 2 weeks by you simply hiring a carpenter to do the £3,000.
Yeah.
So it's lots of that mindset. You've got to change our mindset. You are now the sales of your business. You're the brand of your business. And you need to be spending all your time in getting really good projects in that make profit. And you need to look at your existing jobs and why are they not making profit? And then slowly you go up with the mentor's help as well and the systems. And over a long period of time, it's not a short fix, but the help there is incredible. And then over sort of a 2-3 year period, you just see a dramatic change. Whereas if you didn't have that mentor, where would you be? You're just spiraling around at the bottom with the same habits. So 100%. Mentorship is 100% something I hugely recommend.
Okay, so that's one of your solutions for getting through and coming out the other side. So for you, I mean, the other thing as well, like you're so busy at the moment. How on earth do you find time and schedule time to keep running this successful business? Obviously, you what's the word? You give out the work to other people. You delegate. You have your mentor. But how do you also find time to continue to do all the training? Because you did your 100 medals in 9 months, and now you've just told me you're planning to do another 50. How the hell do you manage it all?
Yeah, so like my management, there's not like a particular time frame when I do it. I just fit everything in when I can do it. So getting up early is really important, and then the way that I win is I've got a 16-hour day, and I just work 16 hours. So at the moment, there's not much time for the relationship with my current girlfriend. Yeah, so that's a bit strenuous for her. But I've promised her that, but I do keep promising her this every year. But I don't want to be a mortgage payer and a sort of PAYE person, and then I'm just on the rat race till 65, where there's no real freedom. You have one holiday a year, and money's always tight, and things are always going up in the UK economy. The energy is just going up, bills going up, water, mortgages, everything. So there's going to be a point where in the next sort of 2-3 years, it's like the money that's going out, the money that's coming in isn't going to be able to cover what the outgoings are. So I've always said to her, I'd rather work now for 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, however long it takes me, to then get us a bit of land, and then we are self-sufficient. We'll have solar panels, our own food source, our own farm, and we can live as free human beings, as I believe that all human beings should have. We shouldn't be in this rat race. So how I juggle all the time is I've got 16 hours, and I will wake up. It's always best to get your training in the morning when you have the most energy, right? Because the more you work, the tired you're going to get, and sort of by 5-6 p.m. you're too tired to do the training. You're mentally, you're not quite mentally there from all the work you've done. And also when you go to the gym at that time or train at that time, the gyms are always packed. So it's very hard to get on the machine. So I always say, do your training early in the morning. Not only does it produce your endorphins, give you that buzz in the morning, that time to think, and then you've got probably 15 hours to put some solid time into whatever it is that you're trying to do in that day. Now, in my business now, I've moved away from being on site, and I've moved into the sales and marketing now, and that's sort of happened in the last 4 months. So I'm now at my house in my home office, and I'm now working out the new strategies of how to do sales and marketing. So I'm in that learning period now. It's very frustrating. You're learning new things. You're trying to get the results in, but you've got this trial and error. I'm learning about funnels, websites. I've just redesigned my website, Google Analytics, and everything else like that. So yeah, that's that. I don't have any structure. The one advice I would have that's very important is the early morning training, and then I sort of have a list of like 10, 15 things that will go down to 7, we'll go down to 15. There's always something on the list to do, but you structure it in what is most important, and then smash the day. And the fact that I do all the training, I'm never tired during those 16 hours. There's not a point where I'm exhausted. And then it's what I found in the sort of last 2 years is it's very hard for me to go to sleep. Yeah. I'm so excited about the next day and where I'm going with things. I have to like sort of calm down first and then go to sleep. So that was quite bizarre. Whereas normally, like when I was doing the drink and drugs, it was like you just KO. You're just so exhausted. And then you wake up and you're just depressed.
You're giving yourself more energy, and that positive, that excitement gives you more energy to keep going. But do you factor in sort of recovery as well? Because recovery is really important. The older we get, the more we need time we need to spend on recovery, whether that's, active rest days, whether it's going to get massages, or whether it's just time out with your family or watching a movie, whatever it is. Every person's different. Do you factor in that as well?
So when I started this. I was always generally fit up and down, doing rowing, tennis. I've always been into sports. But when I really went for this in sort of 2020, the sort of rest period, no, I didn't rest, and I was causing myself some real harm, especially on the legs. Stretching. I wasn't really doing much stretching. And when I was 30, this is what was interesting. I'm now 36, and I started this when I was around 30. When I was 30, 31, 32, I could just keep going. There was no problems, just kept going. The recovery happened, get a few niggles here and there. And then I at sort of 32, I stopped for a year because I already reached 45 medals and did 2 years sober. So I thought, I'm healed, I'm great now. And that's when I learned in that year, you stop, you decrease, and you start to go back to where you was running away from. And then I was like, right, got to stop everything again. Let's go back on the journey of this. When I started again, the 50 medals in 9 months. And then when you talk about massages, I hired a guy called Simon Trick, and he was a sports therapist. And without him, it would have been impossible to do the 50 events. So he has this, I don't know what they call it. It's like a metal tool with different shapes and sizes on it.
Yeah.
And he would dig that into the muscles.
It's terribly uncomfortable.
Yeah. And basically what he's doing is he's scraping the scar tissue off the muscles. Yeah. So basically when you tear a muscle from exercise, it then repairs itself, and then it creates scar tissue. And that scar tissue is what creates all the tendons to tighten up. So he'll get this metal tool and he'll scrape all of that off. And it's very, very painful. But without him, I wouldn't have been able to get through it. So yeah, lots of recovery now, lots of rest. I use the weekends to do events. I'll always have a day's rest after that event, and lots of stretching. I'm a big, so basically in my gym sessions now, I'll do abs, I'll do chest, I'll do shoulders, back, whatever. But I'll also do a session on stretching, where that's my whole 1 hour is of stretching. And that has been a dramatic change.
I'm very pleased to hear that.
Makes a massive, massive difference.
Recovery is so important. And that goes for even your sleep and eating, your food, everything. If you want to maintain that quality of life and keep being active and energetic all throughout your life, and keep producing in work as well, having an active, good recovery is really, really important. So I'm pleased you're now taking importance on that one.
Sleep is crucial. 8 hours, definitely. And that's what I've been doing, especially in the last year, is 8 hours of solid sleep. And that will make a dramatic difference in your life. But again, unfortunately, if you're running a business, you just have to get up when you're getting up, and you have to go to bed when you're going to bed.
I was talking to someone earlier in the week about when you run your own business, there's no real work-life balance, because yes, you can take time off, but if you're up against it, you just got to do the work. And whether that takes you 8 hours or 15 hours, whatever it may be, you kind of got to do it. So
yeah, because you'll be on site for 9 hours or whatever. You'll get up at 6, and then you've got to do an hour of travel. Then you'll do an hour, 8 hours of on-site work, and then you'll do an hour traveling back. So there's 10 hours, right? You're physically and emotionally exhausted from that. Then you've got to come back. You've got to do all the paperwork, all the invoicing, all the quotes you've got, all the tenders, and there's just not enough time. So you'll be working till 3 a.m. and then you've got 3 hours sleep. And that was probably my cycle for about 2-3 years. It's just, but you're okay when you're young. I could not do that now. And then
it gets harder as you get older.
It's really, really tough. And I can't believe how much I'm finding it now. I know 36 is young, but I'm really seeing the difference now from when I was 30 to when I was 36. So I'm glad I've done everything now.
Yeah, I think it's really important to start earlier. I mean, I started getting into health and fitness when I was in my 20s. And I'm a lot older than that now. But I think the earlier you start, and I think from what I can see, from what you're telling me, is that it's really helping you in your business now. So it's not just success in sport and being very healthy. It's how that transitions into the other aspects of your life, in your relationship and in your work.
It's all up in the mind.
Yeah. Well, everything starts in the mind, doesn't it? And what you've been doing all that time is putting your mind in there first and then doing the work after. because it doesn't happen unless your mind's not engaged with the whole process, because the mind is going to take you back before your body will.
Exactly that. It's all about the mind. So if you've got a strong mind, and you understand certain business situations that are going to come your way, and you understand that, and you have a strong, healthy mind as well as your body, you know, you're invincible. But when you've got drugs thrown through your body and your life's out of control, and that is so challenging. But to get over that, that's the hurdle. When you get over that, but like I said before, I'm so happy for all the stuff that's happened to me. I have no regrets. I'm thankful for it now.
Well,
you don't think about that at the time.
Everything's brought you to where you are now, and you wouldn't be the strong person you are now if you hadn't have gone through all those, you know, awful challenges. But they made you the person you are today and brought you the success you have today. And I think sometimes life throws us these things because there's something we need to change within ourselves so we can achieve and become the person we expected to be or need to be to achieve our goals, our dreams, our success, or whatever it may be for each person. For me, that's a big takeaway from all of this.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, I was always, especially in my childhood and teenage years, I couldn't understand. I kept asking the Almighty or God or whatever. I'm like, what is this? This is just pure torture. I just can't understand why I'm in this situation. My life is shit. And then you grow up. You grow up, and the 30s was hard as well. But then from 30 to where I am now, 36, I go, I understand why I went through all of this stuff now. And now I can progress now into, you know, 40, 50 and have a great life, you know?
Yeah, and that's amazing. I think this is a real fantastic, inspirational story that I think a lot of people are going to really benefit, because I have no doubt there's many people going through all sorts of addiction challenges, mental health challenges right now with everything that's going on in the world, and financially, in wars, and goodness knows what else is happening in the world, and could quite easily go down the similar route that you've gone down. So this is going to give them so much encouragement and hope that whatever they're going through now, you will come out the other side. And everything, we all have something going on. It's there because we know we can handle it. We just have to work our way through it bit by bit, pick away until we come out the other side. So I thank you for, sharing that story with us and giving people that inspiration and strategies, and now thinking of ways that they can maybe get back to where they want to be and get healthier. And sometimes you have to strip all that stuff away before you can move forward.
100% agree. Yeah, strip it all away. Learn how to tell the truth. That's the biggest one. Tell the truth, and over a long period of time, you'll come out the other side. Forgive yourself, forgive everyone else. Don't create wars. Don't create, arguments with people, and just get fit. And the demons come out in the training.
Yeah. 100%.
It's phenomenal. 100%. And there's a great saying from J.K. Rowling: rock bottom became the solid foundations on which I rebuilt my life on. It's phenomenal.
And that's probably very similar to most people. If you talk about their success stories, I don't think I've heard of one who hasn't gone through some sort of trauma or tragedy in their life.
It's like you need it. It's like, I don't know, it's a big hurdle, but you don't realize at the time that you've been planted. You're not buried. You've been planted, and it's also a reset. You get to restart your whole life again. Yeah, you get to start from fresh. You've lost everything.
It doesn't matter what age you are, and it doesn't have to matter what age you are, because I think it's common. I mean, I've gone through this in my head. You reach a certain age, you think, oh, is it too late? I'm running out of time, and I think that's important to get out of our heads. Is I'm running out of time.
It's never too late. Never, ever, ever.
Yeah.
So life is fantastic. You just got to understand that life is hard, but if life didn't have the challenges, where would you go? Well, if life was just easy the whole time, there'd be no excitement whatsoever. Where'd you grow? You grow through pain.
Yeah, exactly. So do you ever document all of these endurance things? Is there somewhere people can follow what you're doing and follow your story, or if they want to get in touch with you for any reason, from construction? Who knows?
So I've got my J&J Building Services construction Instagram page. So you can look through all of our stories on there and our posts. You can contact me through there as well. I've got my personal J&J, which is just literally photos of me with my medals. I need to update that there. I think I finished it at 65, so I've got a lot of posts to do to get. Because I'm actually at 113 medals now. Wow. So there's that to look at, and you can look at my stories, and then there's my Jamie Jenkins Facebook page, where I do a mixture of events and networking and property and business advice and everything else. But yeah, and now that I've been learning the funnels through social media and everything else, I'm going to, like, next couple of weeks, I'm going to start launching some really good content for people.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we'll all look forward to that. And I'll certainly be watching it from where I am. So, but for now, look, Jamie, it's been great having this conversation. I've loved hearing about your story and how you've come through. It certainly inspired me, given me food for thought about things in my life.
Lovely, brilliant, fantastic. So you're gonna book a 5K, yeah?
Oh, well, I've never been a great runner.
No, it's been a pleasure. It really has. Thank you so much. It's been a great
you.
opportunity to tell my story, and you've asked some fantastic questions. And obviously, you know, the main importance of this is to help people out. So if anyone needs any help or guidance or anything, it's just I'll email you all my details, and they can get in contact with me.
Yeah, just reach out. Like I say, just have those people, that support. Even if it's just one message, it doesn't matter. Just reach out to people to help. But for now, look, Jamie, thank you for joining me today. Hopefully we'll hear more from you at some point in the future, and we'll certainly all be following you, I have no doubt, following you up your updates, your escapades. Yep. It should be very exciting. But for now, I'd like to thank Jamie and thank the listeners for joining us today on Unleash Your Inner Athlete. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Unleash Your Inner Athlete. You're clearly a very loyal listener and enjoying the content because you stayed all the way to the end, and that means so much to us here, as I love to see that you are enjoying the content we're bringing to you. And I want to be able to grow the channel more, bring you more fantastic guests, and give you more quality information that are going to help you maintain that quality of life you desire and keep you at peak performance. But in order to do that, I do need to ask one little favour, and that is, could you please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell? Because as the channel grows and we bring you more episodes, I want you to be the very first to get each episode and listen to that episode before anybody else can, as soon as it drops. So just do me that one favour, hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you next time here at Unleash Your Inner Athlete. Thank you so much for joining us.